Welcome friends to another r/malicious compliance video. Just a quick shout out to last week's giveaway winner, Miss Lissy. If you're interested in a chance to win a $20 Amazon gift card, all you have to do is leave as many comments as you'd like on every video I upload on Storytime and my second channel Storytime all this week. At the start of next week, I'll draw a random commenter. So best of luck to you, and I look forward to reading all your guys' awesome comments. Our first story of the day is by Magic Pretend Account. Angry boss tries to pick a fight with U.S. Army. So this all happened in the last few weeks. For reference, I'm a battalion level officer in the Army Reserve. While I was getting my master's, I took an overnight gig doing unimportant things. Mostly my coworkers are 19 to 22-year-olds in college or just out of high school. Pay was good and I could focus on my studies all night. I graduated with my master's in 2018, but the job market for my field and my area was hard for a while. I had a good relationship with the owner of my company, and the pay was really good. Plus, the Army has me working in my field, so I just decided to stay. Fast forward to 6 months ago, I've been here 4 years now. Every manager or supervisor has nothing but praise for me, and I've made 0 mistakes that cost the company any money or time. New boss. Good guy, flexible, works with the people to get schedules they want. But over time, personal issues or something get in his head. I suspect he doesn't like struggling to schedule around my military duties, but who knows? He starts name-calling, being condescending, or ranting and raving at me for unclear reasons every time he sees me. He wants things cleaned up, but is never able to quite articulate what that means, and my attempts never satisfy him. One time, he ranted at me for sweeping wrong. Another time for calling him when nobody showed up to relieve me for an hour past my shift, and the guys on the schedule said that they were told they didn't need to come in. When he does manage to give a specific instruction, he'll show up the next day and rant and rave and yell that I didn't do it before he told me. Well, now my comfortable, well-paying job is no longer peaceful, and I have better things to do than to listen to a man-child be angry at the world every day. So, I hop on Indeed and apply for a couple of jobs in my field. By now, I have the master's and 6 years experience doing it in the Army. So I land some interviews, and within a few weeks, get an offer for double my salary. Soon after, as I'm still working the onboarding process for the new company, he becomes enraged that a garbage can is dirty. I kid you not, a garbage can is dirty. I listen to him rant and name call and all that fun stuff, and the next day, I roll my eyes and wash the garbage can. He responds by yelling at me some more because I didn't wash it before being told to, called me some names, then threatened to fire me. So I shrugged and wrote up my 2-week notice and handed it to him the next day. Turned out that threat was a bluff. He's now very short-staffed and he blew up again. Yawn. The next day though, I noticed something peculiar on our work app. My time off request, filed months ago for upcoming military orders, had been denied. I laughed it off because obviously that's a misclick on his part, but nope. I come in for work again, and he very smugly informs me that I will be working through the whole next week. I say, I have military obligations. He says, I don't care, I denied your time off request. I say, I have orders from the military. I can't be here. He says, nope, I denied it. I say, you can't do that. He says, yes, I can. This is what you get for not respecting me and acting like a child. I'm denying your time off request, so figure it out. I say, can I have it in writing that you're denying me unpaid time off for military duty? Ladies and gentlemen, if asked for something in writing, a smart man would stop and reconsider. A smart man would have actually realized well before talking to me that trying to tell an Army battalion that they can't have one of their captains because a 35-year-old civilian middle manager is being petty is a really dumb idea and is in fact illegal. But my boss is not a smart man. Maybe he once was, but now he's an angry, vengeful, petty man that, at this point, believes he's won a mighty victory over his enemy. So he puts it in writing and then walks off with a confident swagger, shouting over his shoulder, "Figure it out. If you insist, So after my shift, I wait for our main office to open, and I call the company's owner for the first time since this new boss started. Friendly chat, and then I tell him I'm calling just to warn him that his manager is trying to pick a fight with the Department of Defense, and that I wanted to call and let him know and get it resolved unofficially. Owner thanked me for calling him, assured me that I would of course have those days off, and asked me what my perceptions were of the new boss. I gave him my opinion that he was once great, but has turned into the most toxic, abusive person I've ever worked for. We wished each other well, and then hung up. I don't know what happened next, but I suspect the owner politely and calmly informed him that small businesses don't like their managers picking fights with the federal government. Because when my new schedule came out, I had my drill days off, and my boss avoided me after that. I'm taking a vacation after drill, and then starting my new job as an expert in my field on Memorial Day, working autonomously with clients, and he will remain there, angry, frustrated, and stressed. I figured it out, boss man. If the stars aligned and this person literally set himself up to get a talking to by the Department of Defense about why they denied time off for military duty, would you rather not tell the owner and see what fate befalls that middle manager? Or do you think that's a bit too much? Let me know in the comments down below. This next story is by Xochitl Cacahuatl. Millionaire Ex refused to cordially split finances. Several years ago, I went through an abrupt and ugly lesbian divorce. My ex is an heiress to a high net worth family, in the publicly known range of 600+ million USD. For 2 years prior to the split, she and I had been working individually and together with a money coach to help us communicate about money. The money coach was a trust fund kid in his 20s, like her, with a degree in psychology, who specialized in helping young adults cope and comprehend the unique terrain of extreme inheritance and its impact on interpersonal relationships. It's a ridiculously niche job, yes. In addition to helping us communicate across class differences, I found his guidance incredibly helpful in my personal development of financial literacy. Through his coaching, and thanks to the concerned advice of mutual friends who recognized the unique financial power imbalance between us, we created a financial exit plan and safety net for us, should we ever decide to break up. It was essentially an alimony agreement since my ex didn't want me working for money while we were together. Fast forward a couple of years and, sure enough, she went on a prolonged vacation and decided she didn't want to come home anymore. We were living and working an unpaid medical residency abroad at the time. Considering she was subsidizing my entire life and residency abroad, I was not only heartbroken, I was super in love with her, but very concerned for my material stability. I booked a flight back to the States ASAP to try and salvage our relationship, and when I realized she had made up her mind, I accepted this and asked her to meet with our money coach together so we could get his support in sorting out the practical logistics of our separation and dissolution. i.e., what to do about the year-long lease in another country, not to mention our joint bank account. After one failed session in which she claimed I was manipulative for having flown back without her permission, I had bought the plane ticket utilizing a credit card she'd intentionally left in my possession and given catch-all permission to utilize, she canceled that specific credit card and refused to meet or communicate directly again. Via a mediator, I asked for the total amount we'd agreed upon in our alimony agreement, and she refused. The amount was calculated to be enough for me to relocate back to the States and give me 6 months to get back on my professional income-generating feet. She told the mediator she didn't want me living or working in the state we'd been living in prior to our moving abroad. Therefore, she wouldn't be paying me out after all. I dug my feet in, naively believing she'd just become more rational and try to negotiate, with no true leverage, for 6 months, after which I finally just transferred the alimony amount directly into our joint bank account and out into my own private one, tax-free. She called me a thief, but I reminded the mediator the account was joint, so this was legal. And besides, I only transferred the amount we'd already agreed upon. If she'd agreed to participate in the final money coaching together, he likely would have encouraged her to close the joint account all those months ago. Instead, she spent an additional 4 months after that being pestered by petty bills from Airbnb to HBO to Lyft. I also paid for my therapist on her tab. My digital bills kept being charged to her cards, and she had such poor financial literacy, it took 10 months post-breakup for her to realize that my apps were still charging her myriad of other credit cards. She eventually contacted me to ask I remove one of her cards from my apps. I told her it was best for her to cancel and reissue all her various credit cards since it wasn't my problem she had such a poor awareness of her money. The financial dissolution of our relationship took almost a year to complete and cost her an extra few $1,000s in inconvenient bills when we could have handled it like adults in a couple of days. Money's a tricky thing, man, and money will make people act up. Doesn't matter how much money you have. Somebody trying to walk away with maybe 5 figures, it's hard for people with so much gathered wealth to accept such a thing. Also, I love that they tried to demand that OP doesn't live in the same state they lived in before. This isn't like firing an employee with a no-compete clause. You can't just force them to not live in the same state. Imagine having the power to say, nah, you're my ex, get out of the state. Go live in some other state. That's a power trip if I've ever heard of one. And our final story of the day is by the most gravy-esque. I'm just here to help. Some time ago, my roommate who was working for a high-end restaurant told me that the workforce shortage was so bad that they were forced to close for the daytime service to focus on the nights. I was working just below full-time in another restaurant as a bartender, so I figured I could help a friend and get some karma. I met with the owners and managers and explained I was here to lend a hand. This is not my main job. I want to help for the time being. I won't be here long. I've got a trip planned in a few weeks. Don't stop looking for hires, etc. They said, no problem, we'll work with what we got. They were really nice and friendly until I got hired. I'll skip the part about my training because there wasn't. Not enough staff. You'll learn as you do it. No problem, I've been a busboy before. I could handle Friday nights of 350 clients all by myself at my first job, and if anything, I can simply ask questions to the rest of the staff. This restaurant only hires men for the service and the support staff. I thought at first that might be cool. It was not. Never have I met more snobby, prideful, better-than-thou'st, egotistical sons of... I've never been treated more like crap than those 6 weeks. I got yelled at for not bringing the correct frying pan. The correct one was wider by an inch. Getting told to work faster, bringing multiple torpedoes up the stairs by a waiter who was actually waiting, arms crossed, chilling on the ramp. I got told stories of staff getting actual dishes thrown at them. The list goes on. During these weeks, I was working 6 to 7 days a week with both my jobs. The pay I was making with that side job wasn't even worth it, but I was still working hard, doing my best at every moment. I juggled shifts, took some whenever another employee needed it, and I could manage. I never came in late, never quit, never argued. I always responded with yes sirs, as it was the norm. But man, was that job taking a toll on me. Good thing my vacation was coming up. I had a big vacation planned. 2 weeks on the other side of the country. Plane tickets bought, vacations cleared with my main job. When I reminded this side job about it, the manager said, "Remind me about it before I make the schedule. I'll try to see if it's possible." I say, yeah, I'm not asking for vacations. I'm telling you I won't be here for those 2 weeks. They say, well, that just won't work. We might need you. We're short-staffed. I say, yeah, I know, but I'm only here to help. I told you all of this when I offered you some help. They say, that just won't do. If you don't take this job seriously, don't bother coming back. I say, you're absolutely right. Thanks. I gave him my shirt, took my bags, and never came back. Best vacation of my life. You gotta just love stories like this where people are in positions of power, they don't have to cave in and feel the pressure because they need the money. And let's be real, this place is short-staffed probably because it just sucks to work there. I feel like any restaurant can hire enough people to do some simple busboy jobs. I think the writing was very clearly on the wall. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, and if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you do, whether it's just viewing the video, liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, I appreciate the heck out of it. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I can't thank you enough for it. So until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be right here next time on the Storytime channel.